Hey guys, it's Protendo, and I don't know about all of you, but the 3DS is definitely one of my favorite systems of all time. The handheld had an absurd amount of phenomenal games, many of which are some of the best in their respective series. But unlike certain other Nintendo systems, the 3DS has another strength: its wealth of features, apps, and services that were ready to use as soon as you picked up the console. It had a camera, Miiverse, this AR card thing that people only used once, and of course, the Streetpass Mii Plaza. For those who aren't aware, because I know the Switch brought in a lot of new Nintendo fans, Streetpass was a feature exclusive to the 3DS line of systems which allowed you to interact with other 3DS owners. By carrying your 3DS around in your pocket, purse, handbag, etc., you were able to connect with others who crossed your path and were doing the same. This allowed you to receive various bonuses in Streetpass compatible games, like extra items or different unlockables. And while these little gifts were great, they aren't the main thing I want to talk about today, nor are they the main reason why I think Streetpass should have been featured on the Switch. That of course brings us to Streetpass Mii Plaza. The Mii Plaza was the epitome of Streetpass goodness. It was an app that kept track of every single 3DS owner you had ever encountered through Streetpass and allowed you to use their Miis in various games. It was truly an amazing use of the feature. So today, I'd like to discuss why Streetpass, and specifically Streetpass Mii Plaza, should have been brought to the Nintendo Switch. Now, in a sense, I can understand why Nintendo wouldn't pursue Streetpass with the Switch. Because it's a hybrid console, it's obviously not as focused on portability as the 3DS. It's also bigger, which takes away some of the convenience of transportation, and way more expensive, meaning people are less likely to feel comfortable lugging it around everywhere in fear of breakage or theft. However, I still do think that the pros of Streetpass on the Switch heavily outweigh the cons. Despite the Switch being a less convenient handheld than the 3DS, it is partially handheld nonetheless, and considering the fact that there's a handheld-only version of the Switch with the Lite, it makes sense to have more features that embrace this side of the system. Streetpass would be a no-brainer in this regard. Not only would it be a fantastic feature handheld-wise, but it would also do something that's even more important: build community. The Nintendo fanbase has always felt pretty tightly knit to me. Like any community, there will always be some form of conflict between different groups of people, of course, but when you see a video like this, it's hard not to feel a personal connection. But something that I think helped strengthen the Nintendo community even more, and could do so to an even greater degree on the Switch, is Streetpass. As soon as you passed someone with your 3DS and saw the little green light flickering from the system, Nintendo had already created a connection between you and another player without you even knowing it. It was like all 3DS owners were in their special little club that nobody else knew about. And that's a fantastic way to build a sense of community and allow for tons of interaction between its members, even if they don't know each other. With the Switch, Nintendo could push the community aspect of Streetpass even further. There could even be a feature allowing you to add someone to your friend list directly from the Mii Plaza, since you were able to see what a person's favorite game was on the 3DS. If Nintendo allowed people to create a list of their top 5 games or something, it would make it incredibly simple and intuitive for players to find other people with similar interests, once again creating a closer-knit community. Something else that makes me wish the Switch had its own version of Streetpass Mii Plaza is the lack of Miis on the system. Ever since the launch of the Wii in 2006, Miis have been Nintendo's main avatar characters and are rather recognizable. They've had a lot of games dedicated to them specifically, many of which have sold incredibly well. But, somewhat disappointingly, the Switch has yet to receive a Mii game. If I had to guess why this is, I'd say it has to do with the fact that Nintendo's really tried to separate themselves from the Wii branding after the failure of the Wii U, and I guess this also meant leaving the Miis behind. That isn't to say that Nintendo's dropped them completely though. You can still make Miis on the Switch despite the feature being buried away in the menus, and they've still appeared in a few titles here and there, but their lack of importance now compared to previous generations is undeniable. Bringing Streetpass Mii Plaza to the Switch would be a fantastic way of shoving Miis back into the spotlight, which would delight a lot of fans. There's just something about these little avatars that's so charming, and being able to play a bunch of enjoyable, albeit simple minigames with them in the Plaza would be a lot of fun. And that brings me to my final point. Switchpass Mii Plaza would just be really fun to use. Despite the 3DS version being very simple to understand as to not overwhelm its casual players, the Plaza had a lot of depth and different elements to it. Minigames, hats, puzzle pieces, the way the music became grander and grander as you expanded your Plaza's population, the fact that Nintendo would send over some big names like Reggie through SpotPass, it was all very pleasant. I feel like features like the Mii Plaza would really help the Switch gain some of the Nintendo charm that I think it's lacking. Not in games, mind you, but with the system itself. But anyways guys, that's about it for this video. What do you think? Should Streetpass have been something that the Switch featured, or is it best that it stayed on the 3DS? Let me know in the comments below. Protendo, out.